Good afternoon, everybody. It's April 24th, 4 p.m. on a beautiful day outside for a regular City Commission meeting. Let's start with our roll call, please.
Mayor Skidmore,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Allen,
Present.
Commissioner Kaler,
Present.
Commissioner Clayton,
Present.
and Commissioner Crowley.
Present.
Wonderful. We all here and accounted for. I want to welcome everybody here, join our gallery, as well as watching us on social media. So we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation by Pastor Redding from Grace Community Church.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for having me. I have two short quotes and then a Bible passage. The first comes from C.S. Lewis, and he says, "Next to the Blessed Sacrament itself, your neighbor is the holiest object presented to your senses." And the second is from Martin Luther. He writes, "God does not need your good works, but our neighbor does." The passage comes from Galatians 5, verses 13 through 15. "For you were called to freedom. Only do not use your freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another. For the whole law is fulfilled in one word, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. But if you bite and devour one another, watch out that you are not consumed by one another." Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we pray that you would help us to see, to hear, to know our neighbors. We pray that we would know them beyond a simple hello, but we would know their wants, their needs, and that you would motivate us to begin to help to meet those needs. We pray that we be motivated by compassion, motivated to reach out and love even our distant neighbors. Father, we just thank you and we praise you for all that you're doing in our lives, in our community, in the world. And we pray these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. I appreciate your thoughts and your applicable passage for us all today. I keep thinking about so many times I grew up and homes were built with big front porches and small back porches, and it seemed like our neighbors, we knew all of them, and now the homes are designed just the opposite, and we seem like we have to reach out more to our neighbors to make a deliberate attempt. So I appreciate that's very good for all of us to hear, and I appreciate you bringing that today to us. Thank you, Pastor. Let's start off with public comments. Do we have any today?
There are none registered.
None registered. Okay, we'll go on to appointments, proclamations, recognitions, nominations, and public hearings. We do have two proclamations. We've got our first one here, the proclamation recognizing National Volunteer Recognition Week, and that'll be read by Pro Tem Allen.
The proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the entire community can effect positive change with any volunteer action, no matter how big or small. And whereas volunteers in Ottawa have undertaken responsibilities that promote the general welfare of the city. And whereas during this week, all over the nation, service projects will be performed and volunteers will be recognized for their commitments to community service. And whereas in providing these services, volunteers have demonstrated a spirit of personal concern and wholehearted willingness to help others. And whereas volunteers are vital to our future as a caring and productive nation. Whereas these volunteers are most deserving of appreciation and thanks. Therefore, we, the governing body of the City of Ottawa, Kansas, do hereby proclaim the week of April 21st through 27th, 2024 to be Volunteer Week in the City of Ottawa, and urges citizens to join the effort and celebrate volunteers in our communities. By volunteering and recognizing those who serve, we promote unity and fellowship, increase community awareness, and inspire by example, fostering a community of understanding and compassion. Signed this 24th day of April 2024 by our Mayor, Mike Skidmore.
I know we have a lot of people in our audience here that are here for the volunteers. I appreciate it very much. Before you come up, I want to have you all come up here pretty soon, but before I do, I feel like it's worthy that we name all these people on this list. It's an extensive list, so bear with me, but I think it's worth it to mention their names on the record so they can hear them as well. These people have donated their time and efforts for our community in so many ways and saved us tons of money. I hate to think how much money it would take to have to pay for volunteers that you do for our community. And so fire departments, Ryan Goss, Nathan O'Rourke, our chaplain, Jamie Rucker, Monica Swartley, Janae Wilson, and Gary Zesh, I'm sorry for that. In the police department, we got the whole Carroll family. We've got Diane, Frank, Jessica, and Travis. We have Ron Hughes and Susan Hughes, Kevin James, Dee James, Ryan McCall, Justin Farrell, Kelly Moore, Stephen Norris, Justin Patterson, Kyle Reinerson, Stephanie Smith. For our Judicial Correction Advisory Board, we have Crystal Anderson. For the Accessibility Advisory Board, we got Daniel Brown, John Fritz, Patrick Gardner, Ashley Gillespie, Marcia Hermrich, and Kyle Trendle. For the Airport Advisory Board, Chad Kaler, Andrew Hum, Cal Landis, Jack Miller. For the Band Board, Merle Morty, Mark Paquette, Reagan Perry, Tom Shrimplin, David White. Zoning, Board of Zoning Appeals, Carla Griffith, Bill Crowley, Justin Paddock, Karen Walburn. Construction Board of Appeals, John Martinet, Brian Milley, Dennis Nowatzki, Brian North, Joseph Thomas. The Library Board, we have Jim Dean, Sharon Geist, Deborah Henningsen, Jody Lancaster, Linda Normile, Tom Shrimplin, Sarah Stauffer. Auditorium Board, Amy Carlson, Matthew Parenti, Sarah Stauffer again, Pete Weber. You keep them busy, don't you? And Auto Recreation Commission, we got Casey Chapman, Ashley Gillespie, Matt Sherman, Bruce Tate, Scott Vink, and Planning Commission, Bill Crowley, Brian Kane, Cal Landis, Rudy Maines, and Diane Starsnick Dean. I believe that is it. If I left someone out, I apologize, but it's important that we do recognize all these people. So if you are here for the volunteers, if you see some here, we need to come up, get behind us. We're going to get a picture, and we want to make sure everybody knows who you are by your face and name and recognition for you for your service. So come on up. I see a lot of VIPs back here. Come on up. And I hope you've got one leader in your bunch to I can hand this to. We're going to scrunch in here. Oh, we got a lot of them up here. Squeeze in there best you can. Good. And if one of you would want to speak on behalf of the group.
All of you.
Please. The podium is available down there, so please, someone take that with you, please. Hold on to that. And the podium is yours. Oh, here, we got a spokesperson.
Oh, we'll listen to him. Let's hear it.
Yeah, that's right.
I saw the eyes looking back at me, so I figured I'd come up front. I'll speak just specific to the VIPs because I just happen to have that information in front of me. But in 2023, the Volunteers and Police Services worked 869 hours of volunteer service at community events throughout Ottawa at a cost savings of approximately $27,634 to the departments. We could not pull off our volunteer events or any of our community events without their help and support. It would take, obviously you can see that number more of police officers to help direct traffic, set up cones, tear down cones, staff events, fingerprint kids, Work McGruff, Dare Camp. I can't continue off memory to go through the list, but thank you very much for your volunteer service and all of the boards and committees for the City of Ottawa. It is often work that goes unseen by many in the community until an event happens, and everyone wonders how it went off so well. Is because of all of them. So thank you on behalf of the department, all the city departments that have volunteers. Thank you.
Let's give him a hand. Thank you both.
Thank you.
And we have a second proclamation that'll be read by Commissioner Crowley.
The proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the City of Ottawa, Kansas prides itself on giving back to the community, contributing to the quality of life among our citizens. And whereas CASA of the 4th Judicial District and its volunteers represent the best interest of abused and neglected children who are involved in juvenile courts. And whereas there are many children in Ottawa, Kansas who suffer from some form of child abuse or neglect each year. And whereas through a national effort, members of the Ottawa community are encouraged to join together in the month of April to raise awareness for these children who are victims of abuse and neglect. And whereas the Sexual Trauma and Abuse Care Center promotes a culture and consent and provide support to anyone affected by sexual trauma. And whereas this effort in promoting awareness of abuse and neglect will give abused and neglected children in our community and around the country a chance for a safe and positive future. Now therefore, the governing body of the City of Ottawa, Kansas does hereby recognize April 2024 as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month in the City of Ottawa and urges all citizens to join in a national effort to raise awareness and help prevent child abuse and neglect. Signed this 24th day of April 2024 by our Mayor, Mike Skidmore.
And I guess, Chief, you're going to come forward and we'll get.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. The Executive Director for the 4th Judicial District CASA, Jamie Needham, could not be here today. She actually is in court, supporting a case through the court system, doing the exact work that CASA is there for. CASA has been in existence in Franklin County and the 4th Judicial District, which covers Franklin, Osage, Coffee, and Anderson counties, for over 20 years. The purpose of it is to make sure that as a child victim works their way through the court system, they do not do it alone. They do it with a trained professional volunteer who supports them through every step of the court case. Most of those cases begin with a law enforcement response for some form of child abuse, whether that's physical or sexual abuse. We work closely with those community partners, from CASA to TFI, to the Department of Children and Family Services, to all of our other providers in the community, such as the Elizabeth Layton Center, to help support child victims throughout the entire process. We would hope that no child would ever have to go through something, but we know that they will, so at least there's a supportive community that can walk with them and make sure that none of them ever walk alone in that. So on behalf of CASA, thank you for your proclamation recognizing this important but critical component of our criminal justice system. And thanks to all of, again, the volunteers. They're also volunteers at CASA who do that as well. And the burden that they bring upon themselves to make sure they can walk and carry a little bit of that burden for the children is just incredibly impressive and supportive. So thank you.
Thank you. Well said. I know that CASA just had a chamber coffee recently, and Pro Tem Allen spoke at that, and we learned a lot of things too. And Pro Tem Allen's been on their board, is that right, or volunteer as well? And what an important aspect that is to our community. It's unfortunate we have to have that, but at the same time, we're glad it's there when we need it. And so I wanted to thank Commissioner Allen here as well for her dedication to that organization, as well as hearing a lot of numbers that they did give us at that chamber coffee. And I was just shocked by the number of children in use of this program. So I'm very thankful it's there, and thank you for the volunteers that work with it. So thank you, Chief, for your words. Appreciate that. We'll go on to item number 7. We've got the minutes from the April 17th City Commission meeting and the agenda approval. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second. Any other discussion? If not, let's have a roll call. No, so we just do it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Makes a lot more sense quicker they to do it. We'll go on to item 9, is declaration. At this time, I'd like to give the commissioners a chance to declare any conflict or communication they've had that might influence their ability to consider today's issues impartially. We're good there? All right, let's get right into the interviews. We've got some open seats to fill. First one will be the Accessibility Advisory Board. Kim Bowers, is she here right now?
She's in the lobby.
There's somebody in the lobby? Okay, it could be, so we'll have Fire Chief. Okay, yeah, good. We'll just see.
All of our duties as assigned to our new fire chief.
That's right,
Yes.
first job. Kim, welcome. Come on up to the podium here. We just have some questions we just want to ask you. And
Sure.
there's no wrong answer. Just tell us the answer just about yourself, really. So nothing difficult
Okay.
with that, I hope. So you're relaxed on that. First of all, we want to welcome you here and thank you for your willingness to apply for this position on the Accessibility Advisory Board.
Thank you.
So I'll start with the first question here and then tell us about yourself and why you want to serve on this particular board.
Okay. Well, 2.5 years ago, my husband and I moved to just outside of Ottawa and really kind of made Ottawa our home. We love it here. Everybody's so friendly. We've really gotten a lot of enjoyment from living here. Our youngest daughter moved here and bought a house within Ottawa city limits, too. And so we made this our home, and this is our plan. Our plan is to retire here, and this will be our last house that we bought, and we've been remodeling. And I came to a point in my life where I wanted to do something to help the community that is now mine for the last 2.5 years. So one of the things, because I don't have a whole lot of time, but I do have a lot of knowledge about people that are challenged with disabilities and working with people that have unique challenges. When I saw it in the paper, I thought that was a really good fit and that would be a good way that I could serve.
Very good. Thank you. Go on to Pro Tem Allen for the next one.
What specific skills, qualifications, and experience can you offer to this board?
Okay, well, my bachelor's degree is in rehabilitation services, and those of you that are not familiar with that, that is working with people with disabilities. My master's degree is in mental health counseling, and I have a clinical license in both mental health and addictions. So working with people with challenges, finding ways to help people be successful, that's what I've done for years. So.
Very good. All right. Commissioner Crowley.
Kim, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Tell me what role you see the Accessibility Advisory Board serving for the City of Ottawa.
You know, I know in a whole nother life, I was a city clerk for a while in New Strawn. And so all of you have so many things that you have to look at from so many different perspectives. And I see the Accessibility Advisory Committee to just be that one set of eyes that looks through one lens and that just says, hey, did you think about this? Or, hey, we noticed this. And just really be one of those lenses while you guys have so many to juggle.
Thank you.
Okay. Go to Commissioner Crowley. I'm sorry, Commissioner Kaler.
It's okay.
All these
Commissioner
Cs.
Crowley want to go again? It's all
I'm
right.
usually Kaler, so I guess today you're Crowley.
Whatever it
So.
is. Whatever it is.
And 1A.
We'll
Looks
just-
like my report card when I was a senior, but never mind. Okay, go ahead.
Kim, thank you so much for just applying and for being interested in giving back to our community. We appreciate it. Can you tell me, and I'm interested because you're newer to the community, not newer, but newer. You
Yeah.
Tell me about what you, what concerns or needs do you have that you've noticed as a newer citizen to our community that can be addressed here in our community?
Well, I think your community faces the same challenges that so many of our Kansas communities face. After COVID, people feeling more isolated, they're not connecting as much, so there's a lot of defensiveness, there's a lot of fear of being judged either way, and then there's all of this unrest, and I think people become very hesitant to connect to other people. And I think I see that as a challenge in your community. I don't know where accessibility would fit in with that other than to just make sure that people that have challenges of going places and being able to maneuver their wheelchair or to work their crutches on a different place, they're even more challenged with having been really restricted to their homes and having to go out. And so it's an additional layer for them.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Clayton.
Thank you again for being here. Kind of following in line with that last question, what changes or improvements right now would you recommend for the city of Ottawa?
I wouldn't recommend any, only because I am very respectful of the fact that I've only been here 2.5 years. And the first 2 years and 4 months of that has been helping ELC build their new grant program, and then I left that job in order to do something less intense and to do my own practice. So I respect the fact that I still have to get to know Ottawa more.
Very good. Anyone have any other follow-up questions?
Is there anything that you wish that we would have asked you coming today?
Not that I can think of. I love, I'm very strong about volunteering. For the last 10 years, I have volunteered for the 1033 Foundation, which is working with first responders to reduce the rate of PTSD and suicide, and that's a Kansas-wide program. And I just think volunteering is important.
Thank you.
So,
Great. Wish we had more like you. So thank you very much for the interview process, and we will certainly get back to you on this. I
Okay.
see no doubt.
You guys
Thank
have a
very
nice
much.
night.
All right. Appreciate it very much, Kim. Let's move on to our Ottawa Memorial Auditorium Advisory Board. We've got Mark Mitchell here with us. Guess we're going to go outside and see if Mark's here. Hi, Mark. Come on up to the podium here. Good afternoon. We just wanted to ask a few questions before we make any decisions on this. These are just simple questions telling us about yourself, so there's no wrong
Okay.
answers. I just want you to know that off the
All right.
bat. But first of all, I just want to ask you if you want to, why do you want to serve on the board, and would you please tell us a bit about yourself?
Well, I live here in Ottawa. I've been here, lived here about 5 years, but lived here in Franklin County since '90. I got some history with the auditorium. I'm a a retired musician, but back in the late '60s, '68, I was about 15, 16 years old. I tell us about what my age is, but anyway, we did a benefit. Band I played with, Kansas City, did a benefit down at the auditorium for the COF, and we had a sellout crowd. It was quite an experience for a kid that's 15, 16 years old, you know, just starting out playing in a band and stuff. And the manager we had for the band, he caught this person up in Kansas City, was doing a show at Kansas City. Got backstage, got past his bodyguards and everything, and had him do part of a radio ad for the benefit. And a gentleman named, everybody probably knows him, Johnny Cash. And anyway, that was quite an experience. But I played the auditorium a few other times for other bands and stuff, and got a little bit of history there. I just look for something that can contribute to the community, you know, help support the arts. And
Appreciate it. Very good. Pro Tem Allen.
What specific skills, qualifications, and experience can you offer to the board?
well, being a musician, I can offer that part of it. That's about all I can think of, you know.
Thank you.
Very good. Let's go to the other end. Commissioner Clayton.
What role do you see this auditorium advisory board playing for the city?
Been doing some improvements. I know they've been doing a lot of improvements for the in the auditorium lately. I could see probably maybe doing a little more with the auditorium as far as entertainment. You know, I know they got some, but I think they could do a little more and find something that'll fit the community that would bring a crowd. Also, I got a nephew. He's promoter for Mammoth. He could probably give some input on some bands, something that would come down here that would fit this area, you know.
Thank you. Okay, thanks. Commissioner Kaler.
You know, this might be somebody else's question, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I always think it's a great question. What's the, besides the activity that you, or the event that you participated in, what's been your favorite activity that you've attended at the auditorium?
Best one, I had BR 549 come in and play. That was a great show. Other than that, the band that played with me opened up for a band called Sons of the Desert. They was pretty good. That was a good show. Ned Ledoux, that was another good show I went to. And, a few shows there. I think there's a lot of them I can't remember, but I've been quite a few shows there. You know.
That's all right. Good. And Commissioner Crowley.
Mark, good afternoon.
Hi.
So if you had an unlimited budget, who would you like to see there?
Well, I don't think it'd be Taylor Swift.
Sorry, Mike.
I'm not a Swiftie anyway, but I don't know. No, bringing a budget, meaning bringing a good tribute band or something like that, you know. I don't know what kind of money they're charging nowadays.
It's unlimited. You have an unlimited budget.
Unlimited
Whoever
budget?
you want.
Whoever I want. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. My wife's in on too. She's trying to get back. She talks to the lead singer, a band called Atlantic Rhythm Section. And they probably be affordable. They probably, I don't know, maybe around 8,000 to 10,000 probably to come in and do a show. Just want something like that.
Thank you.
That's great. Okay, any other questions anyone have? Guess not. Mark, thank you very much for coming
Thank
in.
you.
We'll get
Thanks
back
for
with
having
you on
me.
this.
Right.
Thank you for your willingness to come in today. Appreciate that. Let's see, Jessica Christopher's out there now. Hi, Jessica.
Hi.
Come on up to the podium there. We're just going to ask a few questions of you in this thing, or just real simple answers that just tell us about yourself as always. So there's no wrong answer on this. So just want to get to know you and see where you fit into this particular board. So I'll start it off. Like I said, very simple questions. Tell us the meaning of life.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, let's start over. Why do you want to serve on the Ottawa Municipal Auditorium Advisory Board?
I've been in this community for about a dozen years, and I've been involved with the LOH Fire Department as a volunteer firefighter and EMT. And as I get into my 40s, it is a little bit more difficult to do what I used to do. And so as I know that I'm going to have to start stepping back there, I want to serve the community in other ways.
Great. Okay. Thanks. Good answer. Pro Tem Allen.
What specific skills, qualifications, and experience can you offer to the board?
Well, one thing that I realized that might be helpful is my background is in grant writing. So I've done that for, let's count backwards from college. And, you know, I've just recently started doing that again for the fire department. And, you know, I've heard that that might be helpful to try to apply for some grants, you know, to help, you know, save some taxpayer dollars and get some of the things that they need. Also, I'm pretty good with the people, I suppose. I've been in real estate for 22 years, and I can work with a broad variety of people, and I normally don't lose my temper. So I think that kind of helps.
Definitely. Very good. Okay, Commissioner Crowley, let's go your direction again.
Jessica, good afternoon.
Hi.
What role do you see the advisory board serving for the auditorium?
I mean, I see, honestly, the advisory board working with the Friends of the OMA, working together to just try to suit the best needs of the OMA. I mean, it's a great organization. They've done so much recently, especially with the renovations and whatnot. I think our role would just be to expand upon that and to try to meet goals and to try to keep budgets in line and try to just, you know, get as much cool stuff to come to Ottawa as we can within budget.
Thank you.
I appreciate that last comment. That's good. You're right. Mr. Kaler.
Thank you so much for applying. We appreciate it. And we appreciate your willingness to give to our community in just a different manner. So
Thank you.
Tell me about the one event that you've attended at OMA that you've enjoyed the most.
So the one I've actually enjoyed the most, and I would be, gosh, I can't even remember the names of the people who were playing, but it was the FFA. You know which one I'm talking about. And I loved it because all of the kids were assisting. There were so many of the teenagers who were involved in the FFA that were, completely involved. I mean, I walk in there, one of them's taking the tickets, the other one's showing me where the bar is. It was just a really neat situation. And one of the things that I thought would be kind of neat to expand upon just that experience is to start allowing businesses to partner on certain events and to sponsor. And then instead of having employees and, volunteers that you may not know whether they're going to show up or not, start having businesses and, they take your tickets, they run the bar, to try to take some of the slack off of, some of the other people.
Good answer. Commissioner Clayton?
Thank you for being here and for applying. Earlier, you had mentioned being fiscally conscious. If you had a blank check, unlimited funds, what act, band, show would you bring to OMA?
Oh my goodness, that's unlimited? I mean, Garth.
Oh.
Garth who?
Garth Brooks.
We have to do it.
Good answer. Anyone else have any other questions? If not, okay, Jessica, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll get back with you on this. Thank you very much for coming in today. Appreciate it very much. Next up would be, I guess, to discuss these appointments. Why don't we start with the Accessibility Advisory? We got 3 openings and 2 applicants. Does anybody see any reason why we shouldn't accept the 2 applicants that we've had, one last week and one today?
I think both of them bring a unique skill set, and I think they both would be great for the board.
I agree. I think Eileen, last week, who was in here, obviously, with her personal lived experience with some of the accessibility and that stuff, I think would be great. And then Kim kind of approaches it from, more of the mental, behavioral, that type of kind of aspect. So I think they both bring unique skill sets.
Great, good point. Anyone else?
Bring them in.
I think. Well, Kim, I definitely highly educated. I would say that about her, and way over qualified for the position, but at the same time, with being good to tap into that educational background she's got and experience as well. And yes, especially the same way. I just really impressed with both of them there, so I see no reason why we shouldn't deny either one of them. So I guess we need someone who want to make a motion to that effect.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner.
I'll make the motion to approve Kim Bowers and Eileen Spickler to the Accessibility Advisory Board.
Okay.
Second?
There's a second. Any other discussion on that? How about all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. They're on. That's fantastic. Motion carries. Thank you. Let's go on to the Autumn Memorial Auditorium Advisory Board. We've got, there's 3 openings and 2 applicants on that as well. Let's see, what was it? We had, Mark Mitchell and Jessica, Is that right? Yeah, both of them today. So any discussion on either one of those 2? Any opposition anyway?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'll make the motion that we approve Mark Mitchell and Jessica Christopher for the OMA Advisory Board.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second. Any other discussion? If not, let's vote by acclamation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. They're on. Thank you for those 2. Now the challenge. We've had some candidates for the Airport Advisory Board. We've had 5 candidates. We only have 2 positions. I believe, if I understand this right, someone correct me, we need to pick one of the in-town list of Lori Hedges, Clark Ryan, and Paul Bean. And there's 2 out-of-town, Doug McMillan and Jeff McManus. And so we pick one of each column, is that correct? Is that what we need? One from each? Okay, I think we're getting a nod, yes. And so we need to select one from the one column in town and one from the out-of-town. And I'll open up that discussion.
Mr. Mayor, on the out-of-town, I would suggest Doug McMullen. I think both of them were both good applicants. I know that Doug and Jeff both volunteer quite a bit out there. I guess the reason I'm leaning Doug's way is a little bit is because Jeff told us to.
I thought Doug said to go Jeff's way.
I thought it was Jeff that said Doug.
Oh, man, we gotta roll the
Oh,
video
roll the
now.
tape.
Either way.
Great.
Either way.
We're gonna go back and watch the tape now.
Either way.
Yeah, they're both really good. I don't know, this is a really tough one for me as well, looking at both of them, what their qualifications are, and they're both of them would be an excellent job in the position. Anyone else have any other?
I was going to also suggest Doug, and mostly because I do feel like he will do a great job, but also with him having a good relationship with Jeff, that maybe we can kind of get a little bit of 2-for-1 input, and they both are very active out there, and certainly appreciate that, so.
Very good. Any other discussion at this end of the table?
I don't think we can go wrong anywhere. I think we need to remember that probably, well, 13, 14 years ago, we had no airport advisory board. We had an airport that was not thriving, and we had an airport that was in desperate need of attention from citizens. And what a great problem we have today with all of the applicants, because this tells me that not only are these 5 individuals interested in the airport, I'm guessing that there are several others that are interested in our airport and seeing it thrive. So what a great problem to have. I will yield to the pleasure of the rest of the commission. I think any of them would be excellent on our airport advisory board.
Thank you, Ray. Commissioner Clayton?
I agree with what everyone has said. I think, kind of as you break them down, Doug offered, at least on his application, more time available to the board. So kind of as they're, right on that same plane, they both had a lot of the similar ideas. And as we've mentioned, I think both of them will stay active with the airport. And so they're both great assets to have, but I as well think Doug would be a great fit.
Myself, I was kind of leaning toward Jeff, but it's certainly not that much, because I felt like both of them could bring equal value to the board. And so like you said, I think Commissioner Ketter, we can't lose either one of them we select. I'm in favor of, so I'd be willing to go either direction on this. But I will sure entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Just for the out-of-town one for now, yeah. Yes, Commissioner.
I'll make the motion that we approve Doug McMullen for the Airport Advisory Board.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We got Doug in. And now we got 3 people for the in-town. We got Lori Hedges, Clark Ryan, and Paul Bean. So I want to start off in visiting, give his recommendation on any of those 3 people. I'll start off. I think, Lori would certainly bring a different perspective. She being the only female that we have on this application process today. She certainly brings a lot of wealth of experience in town, and committed citizen willing to serve on this board. So I think a lot of Lori. I look at Clark being experienced on the airport the board in the past, I believe, hadn't he? Had been in the past, or he's at least a pilot. He knows he knows the way around the airport very well. And he seemed to have some good ideas for our airport board, in my opinion. And of course, Paul Bean, well known in town as well, critical tie to the Economic Development Board, and so I think Paul would easily be a very good candidate. So I am up in the air on all 3 of these. Anyone else have any other leanings, or which way you want to go on this?
Mr. Mayor, I know kind of stuff that I had written down. One thing was Clark had mentioned kind of being experienced in both commercial and general aviation in terms of an airport. And I think that's kind of a unique skill set. And as we'd mentioned, some of the flight simulation, the groups he's been a part of, grant writing, brought some skill sets that would be very beneficial. As you mentioned, Paul, obviously, with FCDC and having that tie to how that ties to our community partnerships, and how we can strengthen the airport, obviously bring in and attract businesses would be great. And then as well, you mentioned Lori's kind of a unique perspective to the board, where I'm not sure kind of the current mix that we have on in terms of pilots and not, but would bring someone kind of from the outside of the aviation world.
Good point. Anyone else?
Well, I'll specifically hone in on Clark. Clark does a lot of volunteering out there. His family has been through, a lot of airport fun days and things like that. So I was leaning more towards Clark. And quite frankly, if Clark wasn't there, it'd be Paul Bean. But I know Paul, no matter if he's chosen or not, will still continue to develop that relationship with the airport. That's why I'm not too concerned about whether Paul is chosen or not. But But I would lean more towards Clark.
Anyone else?
In my notes, when I was going back and watching the interviews, one of the things that I liked that Clark had said was that he hears a lot of what people want and need out there, both from kind of how Commissioner Crowley said, from more of like professional pilots or commercial pilots, and from just anybody going out there. So I really appreciated that. And I think he even offered maybe just a small suggestion of something, some easy fixes of things out there. And I definitely always appreciate that insight. And so I think I would lean his way as well.
Anybody else want to comment on that?
I agree on that with Clark. I think one thing I also wrote down was that, he talked about kind of partnership with the schools and kind of bridging that gap. And I think, a lot of times these boards that we have are great in any way that we can really obviously engage the youth of the community in things and bring that interest to it. We're breeding the next generation of the leaders for these boards as well.
Good point. Okay, any other discussion? If not, we're ready for a motion if we want.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner.
I'll make the motion to approve Clark Rain as the open applicant within the city limits for the Airport Advisory Board.
Okay, is there a second on that?
I'll second.
There's a second. Any other discussion? Let's go with a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. I guess we have our committees filled, so Clark Ryan will be our in-town residence requirement. I want to say, too, for the other two, for Lori and Paul, thank you for being involved in our community. I see Lori's here, yeah. Believe me, there's other boards. You probably saw the list here. If you're interested in something else, we would love to have somebody involved in our city. And it was good to have good experience like that, to be involved in a board already, to move up to a higher level board if you wish. And so we certainly would entertain another application from either of you for something else, so.
Can I just say, if I had
Yeah,
known
come on
that
up to the board.
Clark Dryden, someone that qualified was applying, I wouldn't have bothered.
Oh, no, don't say
He's
that.
awesome, an awesome
Hey.
choice, so I'll still nose in out there once in a while.
Well, I
Thanks
know
a
you'll
lot.
still be involved in our community. Thanks for.
that.
All in favor, say aye. Okay, thank you both, I appreciate you both for that, so you bet. Let's move on, we'll get to, let me see what's next here. Oh, well, no unfinished business, we got new business. We have the review of the monthly reports start with Paul Bean, I guess, Franklin County Development Council. Paul, you want to say a few words and look at your numbers?
Just say has a great selection on the airport board.
Thanks, Paul.
You've seen I'm happy to answer questions to what I've submitted. We still continue to get a trickling of RFPs on Proximity Park. We got one this morning, but they wanted rail, and the space that they needed was more than we've got available in the North Park, so we had to decline on that one. We've got a couple that we've submitted. Basically what we run into most time, sometimes rail, sometimes an existing building, and then we're starting to see more and more demand for more electricity power than we can deliver. And I've checked around, that's not unique to Ottawa. That's the industry is kind of shifting to more demand for power. So at some point, the city probably needs to maybe take a look at that and see what's possible and what's not. Those aren't cheap solutions. So. But that is something that's come up more and more as over time, especially related to Panasonic. And then the other thing, we are having discussions. We're going to have a meeting tomorrow, and Commerce Department will be participating just to explore the possibility of being a sister city. And we can have several sister cities. So thinking maybe one over in Japan, just in my thoughts. Relative to the Panasonic location and the linkage that goes along with that, and then maybe something in another continent based on recommendations from Commerce. I also think we want to start thinking about World Cup as it comes near. Once we can identify what countries are playing, kind of partner with Commerce. Commerce is receiving a bunch of money to help promote communities around the region, during the World Cup, because there's a great business opportunity there. The people that come over and stay for a month are the kind of people you want to be talking to. They're your industry leaders and your movers and shakers from those companies in those countries. So be having communications with commerce. But as a community, we could think about how we connect with that through our restaurants and stores. And, do we get one of these soccer teams to come down and do clinics for our kids? And what kind of cultural exchange can we do in the community and at the colleges? So I think it's a rare opportunity that hopefully we can start to have some conversations about. But happy to answer questions.
I'm glad you brought up World Cup, because
Yep.
I think that's something that, is 2 years out
Yep.
from this summer, and it's something that's bringing a lot of people, a lot of money, a lot of things to Kansas City.
Yep.
And what things we can kind of do to bring those down as well.
Yep.
A few weeks ago, I actually got to see Messi play, so if you want to get Argentina and get Messi to Ottawa,
I'll work on
I
that.
think
Yeah.
we'd have a
That-
decent turnout.
That'd be pretty good for
of folks down
attendance.
here, yeah. So I think that's terrific that you're
Yep.
thinking of that. On that industrial development, I know we kind of asked before, are on these buildings, are they, most of them asking for a similar size? Are they kind of all across scope if they had a building in place, or is it kind of just ad hoc each one?
They're all a little bit unique, but like today, the one was 200,000 square feet, so pretty big. I would say anywhere from 50,000 square feet up is kind of what I'm seeing. But there's a lot of spec buildings to the north of us at the moment. So it's kind of scary I've talked to some developers, and they're just not real anxious with interest rates and just the inventory. But it's a kind of a catch-22, because the timelines are so short that these industries want to be up and running, that if you don't have a building, in some cases, you're out of business. But that's a risky endeavor, and I don't think it'd be wise for the city to build one. I think we'd have to find an investor that would be willing to partner with us, and so far I haven't been able to find anybody that's willing to write that check. So, Zach, if you are up and wanting to build a spec, we'll talk.
Well, I can give you the check. I don't think
Anybody else have any more questions of Paul?
I have a couple questions, Paul.
Sure.
I appreciate your information about the e-community
Mhm.
program that you have, that you've partnered with. I have some questions about, and I'm sure that I'm almost sure that this is just the way it was coded. So there's an e-commerce expense in your financials, and there is a line
E-community,
item
yeah.
for e-community.
Yeah.
There's an e-commerce expense. It's called e-commerce expense.
Well, it
Is
should be-
that directly?
That's the community expense,
Okay.
yeah, just
So, because
mislabeled.
there's two line items there, that the 5965, it's e-commerce expense, and then further down, there's an e-commerce revenue, or e-community revenue. I thought that they were the same
Yeah.
thing, but I just wanted to clarify if anybody was looking.
Yeah.
Are they the same
I'll
thing?
get that, yeah, I'll get that
Okay.
fixed. Should be e-community on both of those.
Okay.
We have an in account because we get revenue off of tax credits and donations and that kind of thing, and then some grant money from Network Kansas. And then, for example, the YEC event that we had here, that cost us some money.
Okay.
And some other things we do. When we help a business close, I cover the closing cost, so the business doesn't have that additional expense and things like that. So that's kind of what you see in the expense line.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'll double check that. I appreciate that.
I think worth noting is the Wellsville contribution. I believe last year it was about, was it 2,000?
2,000, this year it's 5. Yep.
So certainly appreciate
Yep.
their willingness to step to the plate and be a little bit more
Yeah.
partner, so that's good news.
Basically, it comes to the same amount per capita
Good.
as Ottawa's contribution, yeah. So, and they've, when I worked with them, and they were very gracious, didn't hesitate one bit. I said, this isn't the last time we'll have this conversation, because that community is going to grow.
Sure looks like
Yeah,
it. Good.
yeah.
Good work. Any other questions of Paul? I guess we're good.
All right, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Paul. Thanks very much. Appreciate that. Next, we have Director, let's see, where are we at? Ottawa Library. There she comes. Director Terry coming up.
Good afternoon. we were talking about National Volunteer Week. Today, we actually had our National Volunteer Week luncheon for our volunteers at the library. In 2023, we had 2,138 volunteer hours. If you take that times $10 an hour, that's $21,380 that was saved by the library. Also wanted to talk a little bit about the Franklin County Children's Lit Fest. That is coming up on May 7th and May 8th. May 7th is the Littles event at OMA for K through 2nd grade, where they will get to see a performance by What If Puppets. And then May 8th is the youth from our schools 3rd through 5th grade, and they will get to visit with 8 authors, illustrators, presenters at Ottawa University. What I handed you guys was an invite. We used to do a evening dinner where we had the authors and the donors come in and meet the authors at a dinner. We have changed that to a meet and greet. We did that last year, and this will be our second time doing that. It is at Martin Hall, right there on OU's campus, right off of 11th Street. So it's in their dining facility of that dorm. It's a nice area to have it, but we would like to invite each of you to come from 6 to 7 that evening and meet the authors. They would love to meet our city commissioners, our city manager, and our city attorney. So if you guys have the evening free, we would love to see you there at that event. The other thing that we have coming up is summer reading kickoff. It will be Friday, May 31st, out in the parking lot from 3 to 5 p.m. And this year's theme is Adventure Begins at Your Library. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions of Terry? Your report's so complete, there's just no questions, I guess. Anything else you want to add to it, Terry? You've done a good job.
That's it. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate it. Let's see, we have Auto Main Street. Director Sarah, come on up, Sarah.
Good afternoon,
Adjust that. You know how to
Commissioners.
adjust
Sorry.
that. Very good.
First time I have adjusted this, it was a little low. Sorry.
You're adjusting it for Vanessa, too.
Yeah. We are in full Piccadilly mode. If you had seen my office right now, it's a little crazy. But we are excited. If you guys have not purchased your tickets yet, tickets are still on sale for the Piccadilly. You can stop by the office and get them, or you can get them on our website. We also have a Corvette car show this weekend. Hopefully the weather holds out. We're started up the cruise nights for the 3rd Sunday of every month until October. This last Sunday, we counted 163 cars cruising up and down Main Street, and the businesses that were open had great success and plan to continue. So we're working on more events, and if you know anybody that wants to volunteer, we are a volunteer-based board. That's all I have.
Great. You might say, talk about the Piccadilly, how many tickets you've sold and how many you're looking at right now. That's a good result, I heard.
So as of last night, we have sold 156 tickets, or seats, I should say seats.
Sounds like a good turnout, so we'll see how that works. Anybody have any more questions about Ottawa Main Street? Okay. Just don't tell people who the MC is, because we want to sell tickets. So
Right.
keep that that way, and I think it'll be a surprise to everybody.
Thank
So,
you.
Good idea. Thank you. I guess we got Director Cowie up for Prairie Paws.
So I wanted to say that I have the best volunteers of everyone because, Terry, how many hours did you have? 1,200? 2,000 something, and the chief had 500? Last year, we had 5,218 volunteer hours at Prairie Paws, so we are the most reliant on volunteers out of anyone in here. So I'm very appreciative of that. I just have 2 events to plug. One of them is our scavenger hunt that we're doing June 8th, and it's kind of a new thing that we've never done before. So that means we need everyone to come and help and participate. But it's with a mobile app. So we preload a bunch of things you have to find on Main Street in this app, and you go around in teams of 4 and you take photos of these things or you video these things and you submit them through the app and you score points. All those points are assessed based off of how difficult that thing is to find or if you have to solve a clue to know where it is. So then you get scored, and whoever wins our prize. And so it's on June 8th, and you can sign up on our Facebook page. We're going to add it to our website here soon. So it's something new, something we haven't done before, and we think it's just a new way to donate and support the animal shelter. The other one we're doing is our golf tournament on May 17th. That's not local, it's up in Tomahawk Hills, but it's a really cool golf course. We had it there last year, and it rained the entire day. So I'm really hoping it doesn't rain this year. So if you played last year and you're like, never again, we got soaked, give it another shot. Come out and play golf with us again. I drive the beer cart, so it's always a fun time. The beer is free flowing at that event. And so those are the only two things I had, unless anyone had any questions.
I was just one I've observed here this year so far. I kind of looked at the length of stay report, which is very good. You have that. And I can see the trend lines going down for 2024, which is good. But is that somewhat seasonal when you have more shorter lengths of stay, I guess, sometimes a year versus other times of the year?
Yes, it is. It's typically seasonal for cats, not so much for dogs. So we have kitten season, which just started. If anyone's interested about kitten season, it usually starts in April. So today I think we took 12 kittens in one day. We can go months without getting any, and then we can intake 30 or 40 a month during kitten season. So it's kitten season right now, and usually that will drive up the cat length of stay because those are too young to be adopted right now. So they'll go into a foster home, they'll sit for 2 months in a foster home, and they'll come back in, and that drives our length of stay for cats up in the middle of the year. But also kittens are highly adoptable, so when they come back in, they get scooped up right away. So it does kind of have your short length of stay either side of kitten season, and then a long length of stay in the middle. Dogs we find is fairly consistent year round.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with all the trap and neuter and release, all these kittens prevented, will cats become extinct?
Let's hope so.
I
I would love that.
But I did see about your vaccines and microchips this year, today. Didn't you have a program, I guess, or some kind of special event? Tell us about that. And I see you have great results, 234.
Yeah, we've already given away more microchips and vaccines this year than we did in the whole of 2022 for free. We're giving those away. So we have two programs. We have free vaccines and microchips that we give away at the time of our low-cost spay-neuter clinics. So that's for all of our low-cost spay-neuter clients. And then we do these clinics with the K-State vet students. Those vaccines and microchips are also free. So we're kind of doubling down on free vaccines and microchips, which obviously more microchips, more vaccines means animals we can return to their owners faster, which lowers our length of stay. And then the more vaccines we get out into the community means the pets we care for are healthier, because our population of pets is representative of the population of the animals in the community. So, and we're getting all these donated for free, so we're giving them away for free. It's
Fantastic.
working great.
That's the way it works. Great.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any other questions for Vanessa? Any updates from Manhattan, how that's going, or are you in there for you?
If you're excited about our length of stay numbers, they're beating us. So we have become really competitive. The Ottawa team is really competitive with the Manhattan team on number of adoptions, length of stay, all that kind of stuff. And Manhattan is crushing the Ottawa team right now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so we've got some strategies here in Ottawa to help up. So yeah, but they're doing awesome. It's a great team out there.
Well, great to have the competition too. Great. Good
Yeah.
to look at it.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks very much, Vanessa. Good job. I see you're still in the black too, so I saw the numbers, so we're good there. Fantastic. Thanks for that. Didn't want to miss that. Let's go on to comments by our city manager.
Honorable Mayor and Commissioners, I just wanted to give you an update on some items that we have before you. We have a tentative agenda item schedule for the month of May where we'll be presenting the audit at the next regular City Commission meeting on May 1st, and then we'll have continued discussion incorporating the City Commission input from our April 17th regular City Commission meeting on the capital improvement program, with May 8th showing a National Police Proclamation, Mental Health Awareness Proclamation, and a Stormwater Utility Budget Review. May 15th will be recognition of Water Plant Operator 1, Winter Ziegler's recognition by KRWA for her achievements with certification testing. And we have the monthly financial report in April scheduled for that time tentatively, as well as the budget review for our wastewater utility and discussion on potential approaches to assist with the homeless situation in town. And then May 22nd will be focused on the electric fund, with May 29th targeting the water utility and outside agency reports. We'll have some administrative cleanup items scheduled somewhere in there that will include consolidation of the chicken ordinance, where we did an adoption and an amendment, so it'll just make it one whole document, so that'll be easier for tracking and simpler for codification. We'll have our project, capital improvement project initiation for the city commission, design for the modernization of our technology and redesign of the layout for conduciveness to online and live streaming. And then we'll also have a review and discussion sometime in late May or early June regarding the municipal golf course operations. And then we've received our community funding requests, which the deadlines were due on Friday. And so we'll present those to you at the June 5th regular city commission meeting. We'd like to provide you an update on a couple of team and talent items. Our director of utility vacancy, that position search is currently underway, and we have 5 semifinalists who've been selected for assessment. And we have a candidate questionnaire distributed for follow-up, and we hope to select 2 to 3 finalists of that group to a day to a day and a half interview process, and that is tentatively scheduled for May 20th to May 21st if needed. And then would like to reiterate the announcement on Monday for leadership promotions within the Ottawa Fire Department, that I'm pleased to announce the appointment of Sean Dillon as our new chief and Stuart Wolzen as the assistant chief. And these dates will be effective April 28th, 2024, to coincide with the pay period. So if you have any questions for me or another member of our team, we're happy to entertain them at this time.
Anybody have questions for city manager? Very good report.
Thank you.
Thanks. Brian? We'll go on to comments by the governing body. Let's start with Commissioner Crowley.
I'd just like to say thank you and good job to Matt and the IT department for keeping us updated, not only on the splash pad, but certainly the shelter house as quickly as it went up down there, and all the other things that are happening around town. So thank you.
Very good. Pro Tem Allen.
I have no comment.
Nothing. Commissioner Kaler.
I appreciate what Pastor Redding started our meeting off with about knowing our neighbors, and knowing that we really spent a good deal of our time today lifting up our neighbors today, who are also volunteers in our community. You know, past week was prom, and it's important to so many of our kids and kids that we want to come back and give their time and talent to our community. And I'm so glad that Kevin James stayed around for the meeting, and I wish his wife was here. She's the better part of the James family, really, let's be honest. But Kevin and Dee did yeoman's work, as did many individuals for VIPS this week, helping with prom walk-ins. So thank you to everyone who made prom a safe place for our kids to be this last weekend.
Great. Commissioner Clayton.
Following volunteers, I want to give a shout out to everyone who came out and helped Saturday morning with Main Street cleanup. Started getting Main Street corners and kind of downtown trash picked up and stuff ready for the season. And May 11th is our planting and mulch spreading day downtown. So if you do not maintain a corner or are not part of a group, feel free to meet us at Haley Park at 8 o'clock that morning. We'll have donuts and coffee and wheelbarrows, and there'll be lots of work that you can do to help volunteer to keep downtown beautiful. And then last week I was able to attend with Chief Weingartner and Director Neese, the Homeless Coalition's meeting. And it was great. There was a lot of really great questions. A lot of really great information was shared. I don't know if they plan to keep those ongoing, have those recurring, but I would definitely advise, if people are able, those are great things to attend and learn a lot of great information specifically related to homeless in our community. And then as well, I will follow Commissioner Crowley on the splash pad and the shelter. I think you kind of blink and then you looked up at the park. I was there this weekend, and then all of a sudden it's like there's a shelter. So it's amazing how quick that's going up. And both of those projects are kind of a testament to the crews working on those as well.
Very good. Yeah, I was going to say some of the same things we've already been mentioned here, so congrats to Chief Sean for your appointment. I think it's great, and Assistant Chief Stewart. Yeah, I appreciate the updates too on the splash pad. It's exciting to see that come to fruition, and I know the people in town are very excited about it too. So love to keep those going. And as mentioned earlier, Sarah asked me to be the MC for the Piccadilly event, and I had to look up. I haven't done an MC for a long time. I looked up advice for an MC. It just had one advice that don't make any jokes about Will Smith's wife. I don't know why that is, but I guess I'll find out about that if I do. So, with that said, we've got our announcements coming up. We got a city commission meeting, or goal setting, I'm sorry, which will be on April 29th on a Monday from 4:30 to 6:30. And I guess we're serving dinner here, so we bring our own sack lunch. We're trying to economize best we can. Okay, we'll have something cheap to eat right here. Then May 1, we got our city commission meeting at 7 p.m. and May 8th, where the next city commission meeting will be at 4 p.m. here at City Hall. If there's nothing else to come before the city commission meeting for this very day, I will adjourn us.
Adjournus.
Discuss a public
Adjournus.
camp.
Adjournus.
It's a new word,
Yes,
adjournus.
sir. So the real question is about, do you want
Yeah,
the
so
city-
do you think,
Adjournus.